There's something that feels forceful here. First it will see you, and it will get closer. You should know that it's here.
Is this place a portal to hell? This is nuts.
He believes that you're demonic. So this should really piss you off.
All right, so we are in West Virginia, and if you're interested in investigating probably one of the most haunted locations ever, trans-allegheny might be your spot. But is it a portal?
Yeah, and I think too, if we're looking at it through the human lens, then, you know, thinking about it, all those people that walk through those gates, trans-allegheny literally became their personal portal to hell.
More to come.
We are in probably the #1 place I tell everybody to go to, Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
I'm nervous.
Yeah?
Yeah, this place, like, you know, from everything I'm reading,
yeah,
it's the spot. Just the history of it is dark and fascinating and weird.
Originally when it opened, it was only designed to hold 250 patients, but it got to the point where there was so much overcrowding that they had 2,400 patients. So, I mean, obviously there was not enough staff on board to take care of all those people.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that this place was open until 1994.
Yeah.
You and I were alive when this place was open.
Yeah. Yeah.
We could have been sent here.
Yeah.
So as far as like hauntings that have been reported here,
yeah,
they've had full body apparitions, people been scratched, pushed, hearing footsteps, seeing footsteps. Ticks a lot of boxes. It's got it all.
Yeah. In North America, it's the largest hand-cut stone masonry building. And certain stones, especially something like sandstone, which has a high level of quartz, can basically record emotional traumatic events, such as the things we know happened at trans-Allegheny. So essentially, we're looking at possibly one of the biggest recorders for paranormal activity.
Could it be a thing where just places that have so much pain and anguish and suffering manifest as some kind of portal?
Yeah.
You know, all that energy turns into something that's, you know, allows more negative energy to grow.
Also, you have 666 acres with 13 buildings.
Is that really true?
It's true. 13 buildings, 666 acres.
This it?
This is it, yeah.
This is crazy.
Are you ready for this?
Let's do it. Enter if you dare. We're gonna go meet Rebecca. She is the owner of the hospital now. Her and her father purchased it a few years back. Rebecca conducts ghost tours here.
Great to see you.
Oh, you too.
Yeah.
Hi, how's it going?
This must be Jack. Nice to meet you.
Nice
it's
to
a
meet
pleasure.
you. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Follow me this way.
Yeah, okay, great.
What made you guys decide to buy it?
They put it up for auction and Dad decided he wanted to save it, so here we are 11 years later. Okay, now this is all about Walter Freeman, the famous lobotomist. Walter Freeman actually came here and performed over 100 lobotomies.
You know, a lot of the practices here on the patients were like experimental torture. There was a lot of death here. There was a lot of pain, a lot of human suffering. It's just twisted.
He would line the patients up without any type of consent. What they would do, they would use an ice pick, kind of like in a windshield wiper motion, and that basically would disconnect the frontal lobe from the rest of your brain. Basically, all of your ideas, your thoughts, your personality, all of that is contained in your frontal lobe, which is the front part of your brain. And if you thought if you're violent, you know, by taking those emotions away from you, that would therefore make the perfect patient.
It's never easy hearing about because
I mean, you just think about even just a lobotomy and how that was done just gives me shivers. It's just sad to know that that many people were subjected to it. How many documented deaths does this place have that you know of?
So I know that there's been thousands of deaths here.
Yeah.
I know we have we have 3 graveyards on the farm, and I think it's just over 2,100 are in there right now.
Wow.
And those are ones that the families basically didn't
whatever.
claim, didn't pick up. Oh, it's terrible.
This was actually like death row, a prison, and an insane asylum, and the executioner's chair all in one.
Let's head on down here. I'd like to introduce you to a lady named Jane.
Okay.
This is the hall where Jane Harvey lived. And Jane Harvey was a patient here in the 1890s. The only reason that we know to actually look for Jane is because people have heard the name Jane. She said she harmed herself. So about 4 years ago, I was able to get these historic books, which record all the deaths, basically, and the people being admitted. And I find a Jane Harvey that she had killed herself.
Where was her room, do you know?
We believe it's one of these right here.
So because of paranormal investigations happening here, people were collecting kind of this stuff coming through on their devices, gave it to you, and then as you were doing historical research, you found something that actually matched it.
Yes, we found her,
Yeah.
which was really interesting, and we have a full account of her suicide.
Wow.
Basically, she'd just been put in her room. She sat down in front of her bed with a sheet, tied it around her neck, and kneeled in front of the bed and leaned forward. Okay, now this is Ward F. It was originally designed to have 7 seclusion rooms. So this would have been for the most violent male patients here at the facility. And I want to tell you about a murder that happened as well. If you check out these doors, I mean, these are heavy steel doors.
Yeah.
And if you look at the inside, you can see the damage that the patients would do.
Wow.
The sheer power of someone who is mentally ill and obviously upset about something is amazing. This we call the bedpost murder room. We had 2 violent patients in here with a person who was mentally impaired. And you know, he was known to be one of the sweetest patients out there, but every now and then he would have an outburst, and that's how we ended up getting into this room. Now, the other 2 patients were not nice people, let's put it that way. So basically, they tied a sheet around his neck, threw it up around a pipe, and would basically raise him up in the air until he would pass out, and then would let him back down, raise him back up again until he passed out. Well, eventually, they realized they were gonna get into a lot of trouble. They laid this guy down on the floor. They had a steel bed in here, put the bedpost on his head, and as one held him there, the other one jumped on the bed until it pierced his skull and brain.
Oh.
That is horrific.
So messed up.
That is horrific.
When I was told about him, and this is what broke my heart when I heard this story, was that he spent the whole day coloring at the feet of like a nurse. That that was his mind. It was so childlike and innocent. When did that happen, the murder, do you know?
That was in the 80s.
In the 80s?
Oh, wow.
One of the men who killed him actually recently passed. Recently, there has been a black figure outside of this ward that goes in between the door of this ward to where the guests would actually visit. And that's been happening so much recently. Recently, there has been a black figure outside of this ward that goes in between the door of this ward to where the guests would actually visit. And that's been happening so much recently.
When did it start to increase?
About 2 years ago, when that man died.
Oh, when he died?
Yeah, but I'm curious if that could be him coming back here.
One of the murderers?
Yes.
If that shadow is in fact the spirit of one of the murderers and it's come back here, that would imply some kind of portal.
I want to take you guys to the 4th floor. You're gonna feel it.
I think this is the most uncomfortable spot for me.
Well, this is basically the most active area we have. This ward specifically, and the 4th floor completely.
Yeah.
We get a lot of touching in this area. We've had a few occasions of some people getting scratched. Actually, I'd love to get Valerie up here to tell you some of her experiences.
Okay, let's get her up here.
Oh, Valerie.
Hello. Nice to meet you, Katrina.
Hey, how's it going, Jack?
Nice to meet you,
Nice
Jack.
to meet you.
Yeah. Rebecca tells us that this was an area where you had pretty crazy experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. I was sitting up here with a group of people. A little bit later, I noticed that my back was burning. There was an abrasion a little bit right of my spine. It was approximately 1 inch wide, maybe 3 to 4 inches long.
Oh, wow.
It burned really bad, and it was visible for at least 4 days following the event.
It looks like almost like you fell off a bike or something.
Yeah, definitely. The next night, after that had happened, I was sitting up here again, roughly same time of night. It was then that I noticed this same kind of intense burning on my arm. So I shifted, flashlight to my arm, and the guide, myself, we watched 3 welts develop down my arm.
What do you think caused it?
A part of me wants to say that I was overstaying my welcome. Yes. There's something nasty up here. Either it's dormant or goes elsewhere, but every once in a while, there's something up here that doesn't want us here. Yeah.
What's the most active place for you?
We're standing in it.
I've witnessed this strange blobby looking thing. We could see its shadow up on the ceiling, and I saw what I can only describe as something that looked like a tentacle, and similar things have been seen throughout the building. Predominantly though, it likes to hang out on the 4th floor.
We learned a lot of different things from Valerie, I think. She believes that whatever is here is negative. So she believes that this creepy, crawly thing that multiple people have experienced could be the negative thing. It's a lot. Are you okay?
I just know that, yeah, as soon as this place gets dark, it's gonna be like, what the
Yeah. So we have interesting news.
Drop it on me.
Our wonderful associate producer, Hannah, she did some digging for us and did find an article that you might find interesting.
A Lewis County judge has ordered 2 severely ill mental patients accused of murdering another patient at Western Hospital to undergo competency tests. David Mason, 25, and James Woods, 30. They were accused of killing Dean Metheny. Let's write that name down real quick. Bedpost murder. Well, we have the names of the murderers now, and we have the name of the victim.
We're kind of the first investigative team to have them and be able to put them out there. This is all new information that we're able to confirm with historic documentation. So it's all pretty important because during the course of the investigation, if we get anything that matches the names or even subjective experiences as to how the victim died, then it could kind of corroborate all of that stuff that's been going on up there.
We got some severe ground to cover here.
We do indeed.
All right, think warm thoughts. Let's get cracking.
Ready? So we have something really cool that we can use for our investigation tonight. This is a piece of artwork done by one of the patients. So you can see the back of it too.
Well, power, man of the year, healthy, better, enjoy.
So it was actually made by one of the murderers from the Bedpost murders. We can use this as like a trigger object. This is a piece of artwork done by one of the patients. So you can see the back of it too. So it was actually made by one of the murderers from the bedpost murders. We can use this as like a trigger object in the room where the murder happened.
Okay.
Because Rebecca's big question is, you know, is this guy still here? But we can put it in the room, and if he is here, it might enact some sort of response.
Yeah. We've decided to bring a psychic medium, Michelle Bellinger, to jumpstart our investigation. Michelle is our psychic bloodhound, so she doesn't know where she's coming. She's going to turn up blindfolded.
Since a lot of my perceptions are with an inner eye, then taking away the distraction of physical sight helps me focus on what I'm tuning into beyond that perception.
We've got a ton of work, probably have about a mile of cables to run, so we got to get to it.
I'm always curious to see what story a place is willing to tell me.
It's easy to get turned around this place at night. The flashing light now, can you see him?
I can, yeah. And yeah, that's actually great.
Here we go. Camera 1 is where Valerie allegedly was attacked. Camera 2 is in Ward R. The bedpost hallway outside the bedpost murder room. And camera 4 is the bedpost murder room.
Okay. Can you guys get Michelle?
Yeah.
Bring her up. Be very careful with her because she's blindfolded.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm bringing you into scene with Jack and Katrina.
Hi, Michelle.
How's your experience been since you arrived?
Interesting.
Yeah?
Pretty clear image of like this sort of brooding stone edifice just beyond a gate.
Okay.
The owner has asked us some pretty, well, specific questions about who or what is here. So we're going to take you to certain places. Does that sound okay?
That sounds good.
Okay. All right, great.
Cool. Shall we?
You shall. We know there was a woman here who committed suicide. The owner needs to know the room.
We believe it's one of these right here.
We're on the right floor.
So this is where she did it, at least the floor.
Yeah, we're on the right floor. I just keep seeing off green or off blue, like a pale room. Inviting someone to look into the room. I keep wanting to go that way.
Okay, there is a room there.
Okay. This one feels right. This is the woman who did something.
And you see the room being
Somewhere between blue or green. It's really quite ugly paint. She doesn't want to tell me her name. She nailed it. Yeah, she doesn't want to tell me her name.
It is pretty impressive, especially for somebody that can't, I mean, she can't see anything. So for her to pick up on a wall color, obviously she's connecting to somebody. So we're going to take her to the 3rd floor, to one of the rooms there that had a pretty significant event, and we're gonna see what she can pick up there.
There's a presence up here that feels timid at first.
We had 2 violent patients in here with a person who was mentally impaired.
Do you want to talk with me? Are you a boy, or are you just wearing that shape? What are you? I'm not sure what's going on with this one.
You see intelligent, that's an intelligent spirit active?
I think so. Timid though, not chatty. Almost mute, like could be violent. I don't know if he's, like, can't use his legs or if he just likes crawling around on the floor. I'm going to move a little bit this way to see. There's a weird pressure from... So it's like a sense of something hanging.
They tied a sheet around his neck, threw it up around a pipe, and would basically raise him up in the air until he would pass out, and then would let him back down, raise him back up again until he passed out.
It's just something hanging. I don't think it goes all the way down to the floor. Took a wild stab at it. I'd say it's body-shaped. There's an intelligent haunting here. Like, this one seems nonverbal, and I just keep seeing him on the floor, like looking up, like he's from a prone position.
So there was a brutal murder in here.
Okay.
And the victim was a man who was allegedly, you know, we'd heard rumors that he was actually a mute. And two men murdered him in here by, they would kind of string him up and like lynch him and then lower him down and then string him up and down. They did that repeatedly. So there was a brutal murder in here.
Okay.
They ended up, yep.
Okay.
And then they ended up taking their bed and putting the bedpost on his head and then jumping on it until it crushed his skull.
Wow. Well, it's safe to say that's still very much here.
Yeah. And he's still an intelligent spirit then here?
He's still here.
Just so you know, this was in the 80s, so it was not that long ago.
Here's the other thing too, they describe him as being very childlike. So the crawling, the hiding, all that stuff.
Yep.
He was a very nice guy, but occasionally would have these really violent outbursts.
Yep, okay. No, he's definitely still here.
A question that we have is, recently, one of his murderers has passed away. And since that passing, the owner wants to know if any of the murderers are here.
No, but they came by once, and he's not over it. It's almost like he keeps going through it, like it triggered something. Sort of this replay of what had happened to him, but he's still here, partly engaged in that replay.
Is there anything that he likes that we could maybe bring up here? That, did he like to color? Did he like to draw?
I'd try like rolling a ball to him.
Okay.
He seems pretty simple with his tastes.
Do you think he would respond to his name?
Yeah, he might.
Well, we should continue on. We're headed to the 4th floor, and this is where Valerie, the tour guide, was allegedly attacked. It seems like everyone says the 4th floor, oh, beware, beware, the 4th floor. It seems to be the most active and the most aggressive.
There's something that feels forceful here.
That's an intelligent force, Michelle? Is it human, non-human?
It's reacting to me, so I say intelligent. There's a physical imposingness that is part of that assertiveness. If it thinks you should know that it's here, first it will see you, and it will get closer. And if you don't pay attention to it, I think it will start to be physically, the sense of putting hands on you, possibly a heaviness, that heaviness. Safe to take this off?
It's safe to take it off.
Okay. Oh. Oh. The other thing I'd say about this floor is it feels like people have come up here with the intent of scaring themselves.
So is that why activity would increase up here?
Yeah, I mean, like attracts like. Stuff is intelligent enough here to react to people's expectations and to try to get a rise out of them.
Purposely scaring people.
Yeah, oh hell yeah.
Michelle, as always, thank you so much for coming. There was really some stuff that you nailed that I think will help our investigation for tonight.
Yeah.
I think we're all set up.
Okay.
And there's so much ground to cover. So probably what makes the most sense is for us to split up. For me personally, I need to go back to Ward R. If you want to take Ward T.
Sure.
We have the 3D mapping camera. So if there's any figures that have any mass, that should show up on that.
Okay.
And then we also have ITC devices to pick up on voices. We have the laser grid set up in the bedpost hallway to pick up any figures moving around. And then we also have recorders for UVPs.
All right.
Okay, you ready?
Am I that way?
You're that way. I'm this way.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right, good luck.
See ya. The 4th floor is where a lot of the activity occurs in this building. There are dozens of reports of people hearing footsteps, people seeing black shadows walking in the end of hallways. It's where Michelle definitely picked up on some kind of dark presence. And it's where Valerie was allegedly scratched.
I know you're up here. You gonna slam one of these? Can you show us that you're here? You knock on something for me? I almost feel like we're being observed. I want to know who you are. I want to know what you are. I want to see if we can get some answers. Yeah. I heard like voices. Is that what you heard?
Can't hear anything. Let's try an ITC session.
Oh no. No, I think it died. There it goes, it just died. Your device is corrupt. It can't be trusted and may not work properly. What? What the f?
What's happening?
So everything all right up there, Scott? What's going down?
Why does it keep wanting to initialize? All right, so we're having technical difficulties already up here. Elaine, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you send Lauren up here to fix this Connect 3D mapping thing? It's not working.
Yeah, copy. Coming at you.
Jack's having tech problems too.
He is right now?
Okay, we can just go ahead and scratch it.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna scratch it. My 3D mapper went down.
It's
Brand new. No reason for that thing to be acting up. Katrina,
Yeah.
coming in. How's it been going for you?
Like, none of my equipment's working.
Really?
Well, no. I'm
Even
just
you-
having some tech issues.
Yeah, my 3D mapper out of me.
Did it really?
Yeah, kept just closed. Like every time we would try and boot up the program, it would shut down.
So in my experience, when batteries start dying like that, equipment just gets messed up like that. It's like whatever is there is kind of gearing up to manifest somehow. Okay, let's get this going again. Let's start in the bedpost murder room, because that was definitely the place where Michelle had the strongest connection.
Yeah.
And she very much felt like Dean is still here. We have some trigger objects.
Yep.
We're gonna bring a piece of art that was made by one of the murderers, kind of throwing a lot of different things at it to see if we can get any kind of interaction.
100%.
Okay.
This is Dean Methany's room. A lot of people said he was very, mentally, he was very much that of a child. So I figured, why not bring some toys that might entice him a little bit. Brought some candy, spread that out on the floor. We've got the REM pod near it all. And we're just gonna see if we can actually get him to communicate with us. I thought that maybe before we begin, maybe you just wanna sit in some silence for a minute in the room.
I think that's a great idea.
Dean, is that you? Dean, is that you?
Dean, if that's you, we need to know that you're here. Can you help us figure that out?
Light. That's crazy. That thing's going nuts.
It's going nuts in here. Something's making the REM pod go off. So REM pod essentially creates its own EMF field. So anything that breaks that field, it should set it off. You know what, Dean? We can actually play a really fun game. So Jack and I will ask some questions, and every time the answer is yes, you make that light up green. If the answer is no, you don't do anything, okay? Did you die in this room?
Are you still scared?
Do you know the people who killed you? Do you get to move throughout this whole building?
It's a fun toy, isn't it?
Do you like us being here, Dean? Having somebody to talk to and play with?
Dean, is that you affecting our REM pod?
I'm gonna try something, okay?
I've never seen anything like this. Dean, do you know who this belonged to?
Do you know who this is? Dean, did we scare you? Can you come back? He's not here. It's just a piece of art. He's not here, so he can't hurt you.
Dean, if we take this away, will you come back and talk to us?
Okay, I'm gonna take it away, okay? Because I think maybe it's upsetting you. Okay, we put that away so he can't hurt you, okay?
This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Hands down.
What do you think?
I'm just amazed by this.
Yeah?
I've never, not this long, not this consistent.
No.
This, I can't explain this.
Me either.
And I want people to know, whoever's, you at home watching this, there are no radios on in here right now. There is no way to remote control this. Something is physically breaking the electronic magnetic field that this thing is emitting.
I've never really had that type of interaction with a REM pod before, but I feel bad. I feel really bad for him.
That's, to me, the most definitive experience I've ever had. I just think that, like...
I think he likes you, Jack.
I think you do, yeah. Probably part of why spirits stick around is because they felt like they weren't heard or recognized or acknowledged in the right way. Maybe a part of me thinks that if they get enough of that acknowledgement, then they can fulfill and move on.
Yes.
All right, well, there we go. Dean, I just want to let you know I'm really sorry what happened to you. You have a good night, and do us a favor and watch our back. That was crazy.
That was really cool.
Yeah. That to me is crazier than a Ouija board or anything like that.
Dean, if you can hear me, I would love it if you could walk back and forth if that is you. If that's the person that everyone keeps seeing. Walk or crawl back and forth so we can see you on our camera. What's going on?
What was that? Byron, was that you?
What was that? That was on this hall. Dean, I would love it if you could walk back and forth if that is you. What's going on?
What was that? Byron, was that you?
No.
That was on this hall.
It sounded like it was
Jamie, was that you?
It wasn't Jamie?
No. Was it this door? Oh, okay. I'll tell you exactly what this was.
Yeah.
That's what that was. What was that? Huh.
I just think they're really heavy doors.
Yeah, that is a heavy door for wind. It would have to be a burly gust.
Like, yeah.
And it was when you were asking...
I was asking Dean to actually walk in front of our lasers for us so
Okay.
we could see him on camera.
All right. Thank you, Dean.
Bye, Dean. Actually, it was really funny. I don't know if you heard it when I was asking him to do that. The REM pod started going off.
Really?
Yeah.
Even when you weren't in the room?
No, I wasn't in the room. I was like, can you just do that for me, please? And it's like, do, 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 do.
That's the craziest shit I've ever seen. Like, wow.
Yeah.
I think we had one of the most poignant paranormal experiences in my paranormal investigative career.
He can't hurt you, okay?
That conversation, that was powerful. Very powerful.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good, how you doing? So first we brought our friend Michelle, who's a medium. She calls herself the psychic bloodhound.
Okay.
And she arrived at the insane asylum completely blindfolded. Didn't know anything about the place, has never been here before. And initially, she started picking up childlike energy in the bedpost room. So we went back to that room without Michelle to do the bulk of our investigation. Mm-hmm. And we brought a REM pod with us, which emits like an electromagnetic field that if something breaks it or has its own electromagnetic frequency, it will trigger it. And
wait, you're saying you think you communicated with Dean?
We literally had a long conversation with him with a REM pod.
Do you know the people who killed you?
So I'll take you back a little bit to Michelle. She's like, I see him crawling around on the floor. He's hiding under his bed. She's like, I feel like he's so kind, but he has a tendency for violent outbursts. But that's not
exactly him.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know if he can't use his legs or if he just likes crawling around on the floor. Timid though, not chatty. Almost mute, but could be violent.
This was the hallway. Now we put up a laser grid, and you know, the theory is if something passes through it, it'll block out the lasers and you might be able to make something out. Now focus your attention on this area right here. Okay. Right here.
No way.
We're trying to determine what that is. What is it? Is it light reflecting off somewhere? If so, what is the light? This emits from the center of it out and then shrinks back in. Watch it again, right here. Then it shrinks back into itself.
Wow.
And that was during our REM pod session with Dean.
Well, that's very unusual.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think he is the black mask that's going back and forth from the room into his area playing a game?
So Michelle believes the shadow is Dean, and that it's a residual energy that's playing in there, but it's also an intelligence. Considering how many people experience stuff in that area of the hospital, and that it always seems to be connected to Dean and the murder that happened there, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Have you heard of the stone tape theory?
No.
Okay, the stone tape theory is one that stone can record energy. So the fact that the building's made of sandstone, and in a lot of cases sandstone has a high quartz crystal content in it, I'm wondering if the building is holding on to some of the energy.
That is very interesting.
So I think you have a lot of different things going on here, and as far as portals go, or openings, I think there's just a ton of elements here that, when we're looking at it from a paranormal perspective, really start to make sense when you start looking at all the layers.
Yep.
It's usually places where there's so much activity, and places with a lot of pain and trauma. Like trans-allegheny, we know there was pain there, we know there was trauma, we know there were people that had procedures done that they couldn't consent to. And I think a lot of times in the paranormal, we see that open doorways to certain things.
It's one of those things where, like, I run away and you run toward it. It is very frightening.
Yeah.
Very frightening to me. But I mean, really, it makes so much more sense to me now. But I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys coming.
Yeah.
Hey, this was awesome. This was a great experience. The thing is that it's not always black or white. Sometimes you have to open your mind up to the things that scare you the most. For me, I think the most compelling stuff that we came across is the potential of the stone tape theory.
Just that the building is holding this energy there.
Yes, and even energy that is still alive. If these walls could talk, I guarantee you they would tell some pretty horrific stories.